Good evening, everybody, and welcome to a brand new live episode of Game Time here on the Game Time Sports Channel. Well, after 18 weeks or 17 weeks of the season, extra weeks of playoffs, we have arrived at the day or 2 days after the Super Bowl here. The final game of the season was played over the weekend. We're going to talk about it all. Let's introduce ourselves. I am the Outlaw John Rocha, joined as always by the man over there who probably a little bit happy to see the 49ers go down in this game. Winston A. Marshall. How are you, Winston?
You bet your ass I'm happy that the goddamn 49ers blew it at the very end, man, because Lord knows I was nervous for most of the time. Yeah. But my excitement is twofold. Triplicate, if you will, threefold. Okay. One, I don't need the Niners to have more rings than the Cowboys. So the more that they continue to go to these championship level games and blow it, sure, you want to say, well, the Cowboys haven't even sniffed a championship game, let alone a Super Bowl. That's fine. I would much rather understand where I am in the pecking order than keep thinking that I'm actually legit and keep blowing it. So there's that. To all the Niner fans that love watching the show with us, thank you for being here. Second of all, there is this entire thing of I really like watching. This is actually one of the more fun dynasties. Watching Patrick Mahomes to me is like watching Steph Curry. So you're going to have the haters that can't stand it. And there will certainly be fans of that particular organization that'll get annoying, but nothing as annoying as Boston sports fans who we've seen multiple times in various situations, mainly the Patriots. People could say that about the Cowboys, things like that. Right. But then finally, I just really had to see the look on Rocha's face when he actually chose the 49ers to win this game. And now the blood feud has ended this season. And you can't say shit.
I know. I think the blood feud is over. The thing is, you know, my Lily Outlaw says this to me all the time. She goes, "You're so hard on the people who play for your teams." And I go, you know what? Because I'm hard on myself. I'm hard on people. And the way I am is because you got to prove yourself, right? And so I was this way about Brady as well. I had a blood feud with Brady for the first few years. After that miracle first year, they went to the Super Bowl, beat the Rams. I was like, let's see. I don't know. But after this postseason and this Super Bowl, you can't ever doubt Patrick Mahomes. I am now firmly in the camp of they always have a chance to win. And
absolutely.
And this game proved it. I mean, this entire run proved it. This is arguably, and maybe not even arguably, the worst Kansas City team yet under Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. And yet he still went on the road against two tough playoff opponents, beat them, went into the Super Bowl with all the distraction. His father with a DUI, his brother and his wife being part of some kind of drama there. He couldn't get to her table and all this shit. His wife posting about her being in the Sports Illustrated issue. And then the situation that went on there with Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. So there was all kinds of drama and pressure and distractions and madness around this dude's life, both personally and professionally. And yet he was able to focus in on the game, get the job done, overcome an interception, overcome a Pacheco fumble, overcome two different leads that the 49ers had put up on them, and systematically drove down in the last few seconds of the, quote, first quarter of overtime and ran the corn dog play, which is the same play they ran last year to win the Super Bowl. So just incredible stuff by Patrick. As flustered as he was at times, he settled down, figured it out, and put it together. And all you can say is we're watching greatness evolving before our eyes in ways that we've never seen with any other quarterback in the NFL in this concentrated short amount of time. No other quarterback's ever done this.
What's really interesting to me, there's nothing that necessarily says you'll have a situation where you'll have a face of a league for sure.
Yeah. There's always
but we are so lucky that in the major sports, and I'll throw soccer in there, like, even though if I'm just talking America, but in the major sports, we genuinely have had generational talent that are doing unheard of things all the time. So you literally went from a situation of kind of the Montana young Aikman, like those like Niners and Cowboys dynasties right there, straight into having a Manning, Breeze, and Brady situation, and Brady specifically becoming GOAT, right?
Right.
In basketball, you went from, like, obviously you have the Russells and the Kareems, but you went from a Magic and Bird all-time rivalry into Michael Jordan, into Kobe Bryant and Shaq, like doing what they're doing, into a LeBron James and Steph. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's crazy. You went from like a situation where Serena Williams and Venus Williams come on the scene, and then you end up with a Naomi Osaka and I'm forgetting this young lady's name who's
Coco Gauff. Yeah. Sloane Stevens. Yeah.
It's crazy. And so literally to think as Brady is walking out the door, and you still have greatness in quarterbacks at the time, whether or not they turned it into chips, but like in an Aaron Rodgers and what, like as far as just his raw talent and some of the things he were doing, it literally feels like with Patrick Mahomes, we were watching the winning element of Brady, the raw talent of Aaron Rodgers, merge into one being, and we get to now watch him be the new generational record-setting. Like, there's no break. That's crazy, and I think that is actually a gift, because, like, again, with soccer, you got Messi and Ronaldo, and that's coming off of Pele and everything else. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it is absolutely crazy that we are being blessed like this, because there are times in life, period, where like there's just lulls. You know what I'm saying? And we're not seeing that. We are literally watching not just, oh, here's the next it guy. We're watching, here's the next legend.
Legend. And this, you're right. This is exactly like Jordan, because you know how many NBA teams that would have won titles during Michael Jordan's run that never got a chance to win titles? The Suns would have won a title. The Knicks would have won a title. The Pacers would have won a title. The Sonics with Kemp and Gary Payton would have won a title. The Utah Jazz would have won a title. There are so many teams that had the potential to win titles if Michael Jordan had been around. Now, with Brady, how many great teams blew it against Brady, other than the Giants, obviously, with Eli Manning, which is an anomaly for anomaly's sake. But you see this situation here, and now you're looking at the AFC. Remember, we were talking about a quarterback-rich AFC last year and into this season, and you're looking at all these coaches and all these players that are going to have to find some way to overcome the football possible Michael Jordan in Patrick Mahomes. And we're talking like Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence, maybe if Russell goes back to Denver, then you're looking at all these incredible quarterbacks. Joe Burrow, everybody you've got there lined up on the AFC, Josh Allen, that they're going to have to look at this situation and be like, God damn, we got to get over this guy. We got to get past this guy. And he took the worst team he had, figured it out game by game, and then boom, got the job done. And it was incredible to watch. And that 49ers defense, and I know Dre Greenlaw didn't play because he ruptured his Achilles running onto the field, but like that 49ers defense was super tough the whole game. Just couldn't get it. Just couldn't stop them in critical moments. And in the end, that was enough for them to get the victory. But, Patrick, unflappable, man. 3 Super Bowls in 5 years. Dude, there's a possibility he could have won 5 in a row. And we'd already be talking GOAT talk. There's really legitimate conversation.
And the funny thing is I wouldn't even necessarily yes, he had 2 interceptions in that game, but I wouldn't even put that loss to Brady on Mahomes, because Mahomes was still doing Mahomian things.
He's still young.
It's that you're dealing with someone in Brady that knows how to win, and like there's a different type of hunger in Brady at the time, because it's like proving that I'm not just Belichick, I'm not just the Patriot way, that I can do this. And in his first year down there doing all that, but also that O-line failed. They failed so hard on Mahomes' side, where he had to make beyond Mahomes magic, and he just couldn't hold up. But that's fine. He still went to 4 Super Bowls in 5 seasons and won 3 of them. You also took
and went to the AFC Championship in all 5 of those seasons.
He's been to 6.
He
has been to 6 straight.
6 straight.
And like, you know what I'm saying? And like the only thing that really stopped you was a situation of what I believe it was Tom Brady as the Patriots previously, if I remember.
Yep.
And then Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
And so it's like one of those situations, man, where it's like looking at that again, you're looking at something that's great, but couple of random things, because obviously at Super Bowl over, there's been a lot of post talk about.
We're going to be all over the place.
We're going to be all over the place. But this. So Warren Sharp on Twitter tweeted this out, and this is the scariest part about this Super Bowl.
Okay.
This is supposed to be the year to knock off the Chiefs. Mahomes was most expensive cap hit in the NFL at $37 million.
Yep.
His O-line was weakened. His wide receiver one was a rookie. They were forced to play 6 straight games at rest disadvantages, week 12 to 17, the only time a team has had to do that in NFL history.
Mm-hmm.
They had to play in Germany. They didn't get a first round bye this time. They had to play on the road in the divisional round as the underdog. They had to play on the road in the conference championship as an underdog. They were underdogs in the Super Bowl and were losing by double digits at one point. And it was the toughest path to the Super Bowl based on strength of opponent faced ever. And they still won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And that doesn't throw into the fact that, like, because he left out some key points, the most drops in the league by a team. Like, as far as that goes. You just throw so many different elements in here.
Some of the worst short yardage play percentages ever for a Super Bowl team ever in the history of the NFL. Yeah, that as well. Yeah.
And it is absolutely wild, because that's a good point of how do you beat the Chiefs if not at a moment where they were genuinely showing, like, this literally felt like a Superman situation. Yo, my guy had kryptonite like blown in his face, and there's a red sun beating down on him, and you have a situation where you have Mitzelplix out here just like kind of sapping his powers, and yet somehow my guy still bitch slapped Lex Luthor and was like, I'm in here. Like, what do you do at that point?
I mean, that's the question. What do you do? And listen, like, it's not like he beat a bunch of teams that upset other teams. He beat the number one team in the AFC and the number one team in the NFC in the playoffs, in the Super Bowl. It's incredible, the run he went on, and there were arguably no upsets in the playoffs. So everybody who was supposed to play, I mean, obviously the Eagles, but we knew they were going to lose to Tampa Bay. But like, that wasn't really an upset. So it essentially went to chalk. And so the best team stood up after all the chalk, and it was the Chiefs. Well, and they handled every close game they could handle. They handled and got the job done, never wavered. And you had warriors like Chris Jones and Kelce, Pacheco, Rashee Rice is a rookie. Butker is a fantastic kicker. You had everybody dialing in and focused and wanting to win. Winston, people win titles, people win things. They get soft, they get comfortable. They get that 85 Bears team had no business only winning one Super Bowl, but they got so far up their asses that they were just caught up in the hype and couldn't put it back together again. And never won another Super Bowl. It's just incredible to watch this year and what they've been able to do and how tenacious they've been in trying to do it.
I think the big thing that has to be highlighted here is, like, you obviously give Patrick his flowers, like, 34-46, 333, 2 touchdowns, and an interception that wasn't even truly his fault. It was a bad play, but it wasn't even necessarily fully on him in that regard, based again on the O-line kind of failing him. I think the thing that has to be stated above all else, and that's where you then give credit to Andy Reid, they were not the offensive juggernaut that they have been in the past, not even remotely close. You still have the best player in the world on your team, and arguably maybe the best quarterback of all time. We'll see. We'll see there. We're not there yet, but
away. But
with the trajectory that he's on, I think I don't even think you need to tie Brady as far as chips. A lot of people are saying because he lost to him, that's
fucking nonsense. But that is nonsense.
I would say if he can get to like a good 5 rings, to be honest with you, and he continues to dominate in this fashion, there was Brady dominated, but he didn't dominate like this, and he didn't really have in my opinion, multiple teams in the AFC and quarterbacks that he had to be worried about. He genuinely has to worry about Lamar, Josh, and Joe. And that doesn't even include those other situations where you got a CJ Stroud now who's about to be a real problem for him.
Yes.
You have a situation where if the Dolphins figure out their defense, because that's always been their problem, they just don't have a defense. They figured that out. That offense is explosive as hell.
Tyreek.
And then who knows? What if Aaron Rodgers does come back for the Jets and he's only got a couple years probably in him, but that defense was nothing to scoff at. And if Aaron Rodgers is playing like Aaron Rodgers played throughout his career, you're dealing with so many teams that to come up against. Now, mind you, again, he's proven that he's the world beater. You really have to go through him. But Brady didn't go to 20 Super Bowls.
And I'll throw I'll throw this in too. You don't know how Harbaugh is going to change Justin Herbert and turn him around. We don't know how that's going to go down.
Absolutely.
And Anthony Richardson over there for the Colts. That guy could be 2 or 3 years away.
Absolutely.
Doing what CJ Stroud is doing now for the Texans. So that AFC side of the bracket just keeps stacking quarterback talent across the board on all of their teams. And so there's so much potential for these incredible back and forths. And all of a sudden, it's really crazy. All of a sudden, Mahomes is maybe a year away from being the veteran in those matchups. Yeah. No longer the kid or the young guy, even though he's 28.
So what happens with this draft? Because you also have the situation with these young guys coming in. Like it's wild to me to think that, like, again, I would say at this moment, the two probably scariest things for Patrick would have to be the Bengals if Burrow stays healthy, because he's proven that he's not scared of him and he can actually handle business.
It's true.
And then honestly, this is gonna you might think I'm crazy, but Houston, because again, look, for them to do that, with a rookie and no support, do you understand the players that are now in free agency? You're gonna go, that's who's coaching and that's who's quarterback. Right. Send me down there. 100%. Send me fucking down there. All of a sudden, if AJ Brown really does have an issue with Jalen, he might be like, send my ass to Houston, bro. CJ balling. Let's go. Like he's gonna have to worry about that soon, because it almost looks like a mini me has spawned down in Houston. But
good point.
What I was getting at before I got distracted.
No worries.
This is the weakest offensive team. But for Andy Reid to acknowledge and know that, and then make the youngest but most stout defense that this team has ever seen, and watch them do what they did and genuinely hold. Like, they held the Niners hardcore. They were only at 10 points for the first half, and they were only able to get an additional 9 in the fourth quarter. And then held and continue to hold and kept the Niners at a field goal in overtime. Bro, like, that's crazy.
I think this is arguably the youngest defense in the NFL. They were doing, depending on what metric
it is. It is.
That more than anything else should scare everybody in the AFC. Yes, Andy Reid. Yes, Patrick Mahomes. But if that defense, because that's the one complaint that you always had, right? Like the Patriots defense was kind of makeshift and put together, and they had some strong linebackers and what have you, and occasionally good cornerback. But it was all about, like, making use of the pieces and putting them in the optimal places. You've got now a junkyard defense that loves to hit and get in there and scrap and play with the rules a little bit and try to get it, like OJ McDuffie, try to get it with certain things. But in the end, they get the job done. And like you said, the 49ers a couple of times could have iced this game, could have put this game away, but they settled for field goals on a couple of critical drives, including that overtime drive, thinking that their defense could hold. And in the end, they didn't. And that's what ends up losing the game. So, you've got this great combination on both sides of the ball that I think should be scary, absolutely scary for any team in the AFC to consider. Because like you said about Houston, they're going to upgrade the Chiefs on the offensive side of the ball. There's no way they're going to go into next year with these sets of receivers. And this is the thing. This is the most Patriots-esque victory ever in a Super Bowl, because it's a bunch of no names at receivers. Now, Rashid is coming on, but he's a rook. Everyone else, you don't really, like Valdez Scantling and what have you. McCole,
Bro, they're in the middle of the game. I don't know if you remember, because the Scantling had 3 catches. But there was one key catch that was either on a 3rd or a 4th down. And I literally was like, where's Rocha, bro? Scantling finally earned that stupid ass money that he don't deserve.
He did. And then he probably went backwards 6 yards on a critical second down play, which was nuts. So, there are receivers, as you said, there are receivers who might try to get out of the contracts to go over there, get traded there, or free agents who are roaming around going, man, if there's an opening, I will happily go play for Patrick and be coached by Andy Reid, who is now becoming one of the elite coaches of the NFL. Because people forget, man, 5 years ago, Andy Reid was a choke job artist. People forget. He blew big leads in the playoffs with the Chiefs. He blew multiple opportunities with the Eagles And then in the Super Bowl against the Patriots, McNabb and him, they just weren't on the same page. Terrell Owens was having his shit, and so it never worked out.
Do you remember that? Do you remember that Donovan
McNabb?
Do you remember that? Well, no, I was gonna say, you remember Donovan McNabb? That whole thing with that Super Bowl. He was. I'm trying to remember.
He was
it wasn't that he was out of shape. I think he was. I think they were saying he was hungover or some shit.
Yeah, he had the flu or some shit. Yeah.
Well, no. It wasn't even the flu. That was it came out later from other players. Be like, now that motherfucker was out there partying the night before, and he was throwing up because he was fucking hungover like an asshole. So he kept calling the damn huddle over to him because he couldn't It was pathetic. But
I'd have taken a baseball bat to my starting quarterback in the club before Super Bowl.
But I'll tell you this: if there's a one thing that maybe gives the Niners some pause, or at least just Kyle Shanahan, because maybe it's not destined to happen while he is the coach there.
Yeah,
that means that there is hope that he can then redeem himself and go become a coach like Andy Reid in the future.
Yeah, people coming after I tweeted this out. People coming after Kyle Shanahan are a bunch of fucking idiots. Let me tell you this right now. This guy is Andy Reid before he was Andy Reid. Before Andy Reid, now with Mahomes.
Mm-hmm.
Great coaches need great quarterbacks. Look, Joe Gibbs is an anomaly because Joe Gibbs took 3 different quarterbacks to Super Bowl titles. That's unheard of, okay? No one else has ever done it. 3 separate quarterbacks to the Super Bowl. It was one of the greatest 10 years of my life, and seeing him do it, but none of them were consistently great. So that makes Joe Gibbs like a cut above almost all other coaches in the NFL, almost. So now you throw in Andy Reid. Andy Reid and McNabb were a great partnership, but neither one had that killer instinct with the other one to get the job done. Mahomes has been the difference. What Kyle needs is a quarterback. Now, I don't know if Brock Purdy is going to be that, because I'll tell you this, for all the shit that Brock Purdy took, he played a hell of a game going toe-to-toe with Mahomes. That defense was all over the field, covering all of his guys. He didn't want to make a mistake. He was smart with the ball, took sacks when he needed to, threw it away when he needed to, got them down, drove them down for touchdowns when he needed to. If they had blocked Chris Jones on that critical 3rd down throw, he'd have gotten Jennings in the end zone again. He overthrew him by, I think, a couple yards. And so there was a possibility for Purdy to have won this game. They went down to the 9-yard line in overtime against this Chiefs defense and could have had a shot and couldn't get the ball in. Some of the play calling you can definitely bring into question. But I think if Purdy is going to be his guy, then there's a chance Shanahan's going to win 3 Super Bowls before it's all over. I'm telling you, this defense is stacked. He knows how to find talent. The fact that he's gotten Jimmy G and Brock Purdy to a fucking Super Bowl tells me this guy's an incredible coach. And so it's just a matter of finding that right quarterback or seasoning Purdy up if they're going to stay with him to the point where he has the arrogance that Patrick has or the confidence that Patrick has that he's going to get the job done. And I believe in this 49ers team. I really do. And they're young. And so I got a feeling they're going to be around for a long time, Winston. You better get ready. You better get ready.
All right, Rocha. I'm going to push back on your whole we don't judge Kyle Shanahan because that's silly to me. And I'm going to tell you why for a couple of reasons. I mean, first of all, obviously, I know you follow politics.
I didn't say you can't judge him. I just said anybody who wants to fire him is a moron. But
I didn't say fire him, but he deserves to get all the smoke. I'm not
some of the smoke.
First of all, I already got a perfect metaphor for you right now.
Okay.
You're a political person. Obviously.
Yes, I am.
You make that very clear as I do. I'm assuming you saw or have heard of Jon Stewart's return to the Daily Show, and you saw it last night, right?
Yeah, both sides. Yeah.
So here's the thing.
Yeah.
He didn't say anything about Biden that was like damning, but he called out some real shit. Bro, you old. Okay. Like that's a real thing, including there was a point you had all these Democrats being like, I was there when the president was there, and he is of sound mind. And then Stewart goes, Do you have it on tape? Because you have a lot of the guffaws on tape. Do you have these meetings? You don't need to show us the top secret ones, but like any of these that you're talking about.
Yeah.
And that's not a judgment of him saying he was bad as a president.
Right.
What it is acknowledging that he is old, and it's not just him, Trump, McConnell, Dianne Feinstein, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. They're both gone. They're both gone now. But both of them, these politicians will not let go of power and raise the next generation. They will not let it go. And in doing so, I think it is totally justifiably fair to say, you are running this country in a way that will not affect you because you will all not be here in a decade.
Yeah.
So for you to
5 years. Yeah.
Even that, but I'm being generous, and let's say that they all make it to 90 because they all pretty much in the 80s at this point. This is not your world at this point.
No,
this
true.
This is now the next generation, the next few generations fucking world, and you won't let it go, right? That is a sound criticism, and people lost their fucking marbles. Yeah. Like all the blow up a little hospital, everybody just lose their minds. It's the same thing with Shanahan here. First of all, to say like he has not proven time and again that he genuinely in these giant moments has become a choke artist. Let me tell you. Let me finish.
Yeah, please. I'm sorry.
I'm not saying he didn't play a stellar game. He did. Okay. He coached the hell out of this game. He coached the hell out of that Atlanta game as an offensive coordinator.
Right.
He was calling the plays as far as what do we do now that we have this lead and whatnot. You didn't run the ball. Right. You continue to throw. I understand you have the reigning MVP in Matt Ryan, but you have a 28-3 lead. Why you are not running the ball to run out the clock is insane because you were giving time for Thomas Edward Brady III to come in and fucking embarrass you. And that's what he did. Then you get to the Super Bowl that happened a little while ago. You were up 10 fucking points with Jimmy G. Run the fucking ball. And what do? You keep letting Jimmy G, because he's shown signs of greatness at random moments, to throw the ball. And then what the fuck happens? Oh, no. The next heir apparent to be the potential GOAT gets to work his Mahomes magic, and you lose your next Super Bowl appearance. Yeah. Finally, I'm not going to put the AFC Championship game because you got everybody injured. And that's not – I look and I was like, is that on the Niners? Why are your quarterbacks getting hurt? But I'm not going to put that on him.
Oh, right. The Eagles game last year, you mean. Yeah.
But let's go back to this Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You have them by 10 points.
Sure.
The best player on the field, not named Patrick Mahomes, is Christian fucking McCaffrey.
Yeah.
And instead of feeding him the rock because he can handle his business, they're letting Brock throw the ball. And it keeps putting them in situations where they now have to punt. He didn't turn it over, thankfully, but they're having to punt, and you are giving Patrick Mahomes time to get in sync with Scantling of all fucking people.
Right.
And Kelce. Kelce had multiple plays now where if you took him out of the game, he only had one catch in the first half. Now he has 9 in the second, and you're letting him get these monster plays around the sideline so that they don't have to kill clock.
Yeah.
That is a point at which you then have to go as the guy in charge. The buck stops with you, especially if we're saying that Brock Purdy isn't old enough yet. He's not a veteran enough yet to put that at his feet. It goes at the feet of the coach. And then to the coup de grace, and this is something I know we were going to fucking talk about.
Yeah.
You don't know, or your players don't know what the overtime rules are.
That's a fair point. Like, that's a big criticism. And I would not counter that criticism with anything. You got to be prepared. And his own players even said it after the game that he wasn't prepared for the overtime. There was no plan for overtime at all. And I don't know how you don't plan for every possible situation just in case, right?
It's
fair criticism.
It literally feels like, bro, you've been in the film industry for a long time. I know you've been on sets and all that kind of stuff. If you go to shoot a movie and you get out there and you're like, okay, here are all the things, we've got the insurance and stuff. What about the worst case scenario? What if we end up in a situation where, like, we needed a perfect day, we've been told the weather's going to happen, and it rains out?
Yeah.
What's the backup plan? Do you have another location? Do you have another day plan? Nope. That was the last shot that we had. We're out of money. We don't have a backup in case this doesn't fucking work.
Right.
What?
Yeah, exactly.
And so then, of course, you're not talking about an act of God. You're talking about a literal demigod that plays football being across the field from you and being coached by one of the greatest to ever do it as far as coaches. You can now put Andy Reid, in my opinion, in the Rushmore of coaches, and you're literally not going to be prepared for how overtime goes. I get his logic of we want the ball third. I figured we would score, they would score, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
But to not know, because this is the big thing that a lot of the analysts said, and it didn't hit me until the first time I heard it, and then I was like, yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
If you take the ball second, you are then setting up a situation where you get 4 downs every single set of downs instead of 3 where you're potentially punting or having to kick a field goal. You just gave Patrick Mahomes full credence to just say, fuck it, and fool around until they figure out how to get the 10 yards to move it along. And what happens? twice. You had a 4th and 1 and a 4th and 2 where Mahomes goes, all right, shimmy, boom, little shimmy shake, all that kind of stuff. That's crazy that you don't take that into consideration. I understand what the analytics say about getting the ball third.
Yeah.
You don't take that into consideration because you didn't take the time to prep your team for the worst case scenario, which is overtime.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty shocking when that came out that he wasn't prepared for it, hadn't prepared the team for it. It's pretty shocking. So, yeah, I absolutely agree with you on that end. But I think people are making too big of a deal over the coin flip and the overtime thing. I really do, because if you get the ball first, you drive down, you get the touchdown, you put the onus on the Chiefs to score the touchdown. And what have the 49ers rested their entire season on? It's their defense. And their defense had done a bang-up job with Mahomes throughout most of the game. And so, like, okay, let's see if the nerves are here. Let's see if we can rattle them. They're a shittier offense than we are a defense. So let's get the points. Let's go down there. Let's get the job done. Then put them in the pressure-filled situations that we want them to be, because they're nervous that they have to score. And that's the logic there. And now, do I think it's the smartest logic? No, but I can see validity in it and what you want to do. You get the ball first. What happens if that monster Chiefs defense, led by Chris Jones, which has been getting into your backfield all game, shuts you down? I mean, Purdy was throwing balls into the tightest spaces I've ever seen him throw balls into, and they were getting knocked down, almost intercepted. He was throwing them out. He was throwing them into the ground. Like, there was all kinds of stuff going on because those cornerbacks and secondary were all over the 49ers receivers. Ayuk had 3 catches. Kittle had 2 for 4 yards. They were covering these guys like a blanket, and the line was busting through the O-line. So maybe he felt, if we get the points, we'll put the pressure on them, our defense can hold, and we can take care of business. But not being prepared for the fact that it's a quarters overtime. It's not a whoever scores, second or third or whatever. Like, it's a quarters overtime. I think there's the issues there overall. And you're right. He should have been prepared for that as a coach. I thought he coached a hell of a game, and I do agree that he should have ran the ball in the third quarter. But some of you all are playing revisionist history with the game, because I wish I'd sat here and just put together a compilation of McCaffrey being tackled at the line 47 times. I wish I could show you how many times he got tackled at the line for after a 1-yard gain or a no-yard gain. That front line of the Chiefs was in their backfield a majority of the game. So, yes, he got, 76 yards rushing, 80 yards receiving, and whatever. But, but he wasn't consistently busting through the line and getting 20 yards a pop. His longest run was 11 yards. 11.
I understand that.
So to me, I don't see the logic in wasting plays when you're getting better results from throwing 3 or 4 yards down the field with every throw and then using McCaffrey as a balance. So I get the point. I just don't know if I agree with it as well.
So here's a fun little thing that we can do. Fortunately, sure. I know we didn't have our standard run sheet here, but I am able to pull up the play-by-play. So I'm happy to share with you exactly how they decided to do this in overtime here.
Yeah.
So
overtime.
Right. In overtime specifically, just
came after him for the third quarter. So I just want to make sure that's clear.
Which we could talk about that too, and I'm happy to pull that up as well. But just specifically looking at this, let's see. You have a Brock Purdy pass incomplete, short over the middle to Deebo Samuel. Right. You have a penalty on them for a false start. You bring it back, 2nd and 15. You have a pass to McCaffrey for 2 yards over the middle. You're now at 3 and 13. Then an incomplete pass, but there's a penalty, a big defensive holding penalty which gives them an automatic first down, right?
Yeah.
Then you had a situation where McCaffrey ran it up to the left for 3 yards. You then have McCaffrey run it to the right for another 5. That's 8 and 2. That's 8 and 2 plays. So he's still doing his fucking job. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Then you end up with a Brock Purdy pass to Ayuk for 11. Great. Yeah. Then you end up with a CMC with another 4 yards. So at this point now he's at 12. So he's averaging roughly about 4 yards a carry, which obviously you want to get about 5, but that's still not bad.
Yeah.
He has another pass to McCaffrey for 24, but again, it was off of a screen. Yes. So he literally was doing McCaffrey things again. That wasn't Brock Purdy. Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? So
true. Yeah.
Keep going. And then ultimately where you end up in trouble here is you end up in a situation where he has a couple more short passes or a couple more for no gain. Yeah. And then ultimately here you had a 6-yard run from CMC, a 0-yard run from CMC, an incomplete pass from Purdy. You don't go for it on 4th, you just kick the field goal.
Yeah.
So all that being said, the fact that we've already proven that this may not be the strongest Chiefs offense we've seen, but this is still the same Patrick Mahomes because he was down 10 points and he came back on your ass again, and we're here in overtime. What makes you think that you don't go for it there?
Yeah, I would have gone for it. I would have totally gone for it.
You go for it because he has already proven he can get down the field in 13 seconds against the fucking Josh Allen-led Buffalo Bills. You don't think he can do this shit to you, which he already did twice in order to get in this position in the first place? Like that's the part. And I understand there's all sorts of things. People want to say injury with Greenlaw. That's a terrible injury. And I'm actually really sad for him because that Achilles shit is no fucking joke. That's awful, right?
It's going to be a while.
But you act like there's not a situation where there were injuries for all different types of teams throughout the NFL here. That's the name of the fucking game. And so losing, it's a next man up. There was a pretty gnarly hit on that. You wouldn't call it a late hit, but Mahomes' legs were pinned.
Yeah, I remember that.
Tackled.
Yeah.
That could have been it.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If that was early in the game, but I guarantee you his backup isn't doing what he just did.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like Yes, that had a factor in it, but you can't hang your hat on that, especially not if you took them to the limit like this. Yeah. That means you were still able to do what you needed to do to a point.
It's true.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So like, there's just situations here. I still think that Shanahan is like a top 5 coach in the league. I still think that this team is a top 5 team in the league.
Yeah.
I still think that there is plenty of chances that the 49ers could end up back in the Super Bowl and can actually pull it off. And at any given Sunday, they play this team again. They play them 10 times. I would argue that the Chiefs probably win it 6 out of the 10 times, and the Niners win the other 4.
Yeah,
I genuinely think that it could easily swing that way, right?
They spotted him 2 already, so yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's possible. That's the thing. I think Shanahan has to beat Reid before he can move on. So I think we're going to see a rematch of these two teams, if not next year, the year after. I just have a feeling we're not done with this situation just yet. And Purdy's only going to get better if this is a kid who really has the tools. And look, he went to the NFC Championship in his first year as a starter, not even a full starter, by the way, 6, 7, 8 games, led them into the NFC Championship. This year, not being injured, won the NFC Championship, led them into the Super Bowl, and was arguably one pass away from winning the game, or one, maybe if you want to say, one extra point away, which I don't agree, from winning the game. So the kid has possibilities, but he looked out of sorts at times. That defense of the Chiefs really messed with him. And so the kid's going to learn. He's going to watch that tape. If he really wants to be great in the NFL, you got to watch tape all the time. You know, I was watching, I went on a run of America's games before the Super Bowl on Sunday, because the Ladies Outlaws out of town. So I sat there and really had a great time watching those games, and watching the LA Rams one, which I think is a great one with Stafford and all those guys, seeing how what's his face, Aaron Donald gets into the facility to watch game tape at 6 a.m. in the morning and spends all day watching that stuff. That's how you get great. And you think to yourself, oh, how much game tape can you watch? There's never enough you can watch so that you understand tendencies and you get it. It's like reading lines for an actor. You cannot memorize your lines enough.
You can't because
read them enough. You cannot practice them enough. You are always learning. You know?
Especially from the standpoint, in order to truly be great in those moments, man, the lines have to be so automatic that the same way that I'm talking to you right now, I don't know what I'm going to say, but it needs to just come out of your mouth automatically. So then when you could focus on is your emotions and how that other person is making you feel. So it's another thing, to be honest with you, because I keep seeing people pull back. Oh, well, once they lost Greenlaw, it went from 1 catch to Travis Kelce to 9 and a touch. Okay, sure, I get it, but you're talking about what was considered the best defense for a while in the league. I think they ended up 4. What happened to the idea of next man up? What happened to the idea of the coach realizing if we don't have this key element, we need to make a shift that allows to cover for certain things? And again, you still act like I understand. Like, do you remember when Greenlaw went down? Because I don't remember.
Look, he didn't go down in the game. I think people got this wrong. He went down running onto the field out of the locker room. He did not play one down in the Super Bowl.
Are you sure?
Yes, he was running onto the field and ruptured his Achilles heel on the field.
I remember, but I would thought that happened like we were into the game for a little bit. So let's see. As Greenlaw prepared to run back onto the field for another defensive series with 9:26 left in the second quarter. So no,
okay.
he did play some of that game.
Okay.
So I
guess he wasn't doing that much, so I hadn't noticed him. Okay.
Right. So but I say all that to say, like, again, if you're considered a Super Bowl contending team,
100%.
Fuck, like, with the exception of, I understand Greenlaw is an elite player. With an exception of, we lost Tom Brady, we lost Patrick Mahomes, we lost Michael Jordan, we lost Kobe Bryant. That's a ridiculous excuse. That's a situation where you need to rally around everybody else doing that, because I guess what? I get that, like, here I go bringing up the Cowboys again. I totally understand the idea that, like, that one game rattled the fuck out of us. It was week 3 though anyway, so who the fuck cares? But do you understand how after Diggs went down, that all of a sudden Darren Brand stepped up and broke a fucking record? So at what point do you not have this championship team figure out how to make shit happen? That's what I'm saying. You can't use that, because then the same excuse back then, and I still think the Eagles were gettable last year.
Right.
Well, we lost Jimmy and we lost Purdy. The only reason I will give you that quarterback loss there is because you have a situation where, well, now you don't actually have a legitimate person who's good at throwing the ball running your team. Now you're in a situation where you're like, who is the backup of the backup of the backup of the backup? Like, but you know what I'm saying? Like, at what point do you just have to dial the fuck in? And so, like, to put they lost Greenlaw. That's the reason they lost it. Well, then I don't know what the fuck to tell you. If your entire team rests on Greenlaw, then you had no shot then. I'm sorry.
No, that's nonsense. It's nonsense. They had a very strong defense, and they played this Chiefs to overtime. They played this Chiefs team to overtime, for God's sakes. They stopped them on numerous drives in the second half. So it wasn't like the Chiefs were scoring at will as soon as Greenlaw went out. It was a much tighter game. So
dude,
there's not one person that you're relying on in this situation.
I'll bring that up too, because we said Greenlaw went out in the second quarter with like 9-ish minutes left, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So in that case, that's probably around this area right here with that. So then let's see. Punt from, so fumble from.
That's where the game changed. The punt is where the game changed. I don't care what anybody says.
So we had a punt. We had a punt from Kansas City, a field goal from Kansas City, an interception from Kansas City, a punt from Kansas City, a field goal from Kansas City, a punt from Kansas City. So you're acting like Greenlaw didn't actually, like, he did everything when this Niners defense held it down for most of the game. Once we got to the end, Mahomes turned it the fuck on and said bye,
because they were tired. And the thing is, Greenlaw had no tackles in the game, so it's not like he was this massive impact in the first quarter. And maybe he held Kelce to one catch, but I also think Kelce was super fucking pissed, and we should talk about that. We should bring that up. I mean, let's take a look at it, because I want to make sure we are all on the same page on this. This was a big deal to a lot of people who are watching the game, that he, manhandled his coach. And to me, I was surprised to see so many people upset about this situation, because I personally didn't think it was an issue, but a lot of people did, and a lot of people in the moment. And I saw some people try to turn it into a black-white thing, and I'm like, what are you guys talking about?
Wait, to turn it into a black-white thing? What you mean?
Yeah, they were trying to say if this had been a black player,
kiss my ass,
you all wouldn't have said it was passionate. And I'm like, what?
I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this.
You as a black man, I mean, to me, that's nonsense when people say that shit. People reacted to that shit strongly. They were tearing him apart on Twitter for this bump, and for this idea to claim that he wasn't that nobody would have given him shit if it, because he's a white guy. They all gave him shit for it, Fuck, I can't find the video now. Shut the fuck up. What the fuck? Where is this video? Anyway,
they probably tried to scrub it because they were just like, look, man, we got to. It made some of the best memes I've ever seen, because then people started taking it, and it was everything talking about. My favorite was that I saw actually Nerd Chronic post first, and I got mad that people started stealing his tweet, and they were getting, and I was getting mad for him. But
I found it.
The Tony Stark did it in a game with a box of scraps.
Yeah,
that was absolutely
it was
genius.
The best. So let's take a look at that. I'm going to turn the sound up, but he grabs him by the arm and he bumps him. Now look, Reid just gets bumped off because Reid, no surprise, doesn't have a strong core. But look, he comes back to try. Look, he's just passionate here in this moment. right? He bumps him. I don't think he meant to knock Reid, over or anything like that. Some people call this physical assault. Where were you raised? In a pillow factory? What are you talking about? This isn't physical assault. He grabs his coach's arm, yells to him. It's very loud in the stadium. And he says to him, the fumble happened because I wasn't in the game. Put me in the goddamn game. My girlfriend's watching. And so and look at Reid. Reid puts his hand back on Travis to try to be like, I get it, man. We'll figure it out. Don't worry about it. That right there is not a grab to yank a guy back to talk to you. It's a grab to be like, hey, man, I get it. You're upset. We won't do it again. I promise. Or something like that. It was not, I don't understand why people got so upset about this, because it's the Super Bowl, man. People want to win. And I think I tweeted out, if Bosa had done that to Shanahan, it might have woke Shanahan up to call some better calls in critical moments there at the end of the game. So I don't know why people got so upset about this when it was such a nothing situation, in my opinion, man.
I think the other one that got me, that was upsetting to me, was there was a whole bunch of people that then tried to start this idea that, like, Taylor Swift, because here will be the first conversation with her this time, that she's now unsafe. That Travis Kelce this is a sign of domestic abuse, and that he's physically. First of all, the man plays football.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So there are already the heightened levels of all that kind of stuff, if you want to go into that, but to act like this is not a game that is very physical as is, and he didn't go up and shove him to the ground.
No.
He tried to catch him, which Andy even said himself, I'm an old man, bro. I gotta work on my balance. So when he touched me, I was like, oh shit, my bad. Like he wasn't on top of the fact, and this is what I appreciate. There were a number of psychologists that came back to it and said, look, you got to remember, A, what we said about football being as physical and as violent of a sport as it is, but B, it's very clear that Andy and Travis have enough of a relationship that has been developed that Travis can, in that moment when he's emotionally frustrated, say something to his coach.
And Andy said it wasn't the first time he'd done it in practice or in other places, especially Guy Winston.
Exactly. So when you throw all that into the consideration, you actually watch him and you see that he didn't go up and do any sort of abuse to Andy. He just went to grab, like, hey, what the fuck is this play calling and shit? Like, that's shit. Ow. God damn it.
Did you hurt yourself?
Well, I touched a spicy pepper earlier and I just rubbed my eye. So that's gonna be fun.
Next man up. Who you got behind you?
The left eye. The left eye's gonna have to deal with it. That's the bad eye too. So shit, I'm out here looking like a ghetto Nick Fury right now. I say all that to say, bro,
you better dial in that third eye. Yeah,
you gotta just you see that shit open up, y'all would freak the fuck out. Oh my god. But I say all that to say that's been a situation where I think the thing that has always bothered me. I don't have a problem with having new people involved in a situation. So I love having new anime fans. I love having new Marvel fans. I love having new football fans, whatever.
Sure.
That's been a situation where you ain't been here. So you can't just come in and just pretend like you know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because that's clearly not what was happening right now. And it's very clear that they have a good relationship and that everything is fine. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was wild to me to see people genuinely lose their shit over that little moment. Now, mind you, if the Chiefs had lost, I guarantee you it would have been talked about 10 times more than it is right now.
Yeah.
Because
100%. They'd have been like, he was entitled. Why was he doing that? So ridiculous. All of that.
Because the flip side of it is there was another explosion that happened that people are casually going over. And that's mainly because even with it involving arguably the more famous player or the more important player on the team, Travis is because he's tied to Taylor. It immediately just like people beeline into it. There was a point at which Rashee Rice was bitching and Mahomes got in his face. He's like, look, motherfucker, it was a low snap and I had to get rid of the ball. So I couldn't get it to, and someone actually showed it in replay and they were like, it's very clearly he's saying it was a low snap, motherfucker. I had to get rid of the ball. And then Rice was like, all right. My bad. Again, this is a sports in general, but specifically football. This is a passionate, intense game. And unless you see a situation where someone is actually throwing punches, throwing someone to the ground, grabbing someone, and like, now we're having a different conversation. But yelling at somebody, that's totally fucking normal in this environment.
Yeah, and it's the only here's what I'll say, and for me, and I'm going to be full admission on this in terms of the Travis. I think I'm done. The Travis thing, I think we've hammered that out, and I think we're both on the same page. Passionate guy, has a relationship with this man, probably a father-son relationship, and went up to him and yelled at him and got him like it was like, don't take me out of the game anymore on these situations, because that's why Pacheco fumbled. I wasn't on the corner to block these guys coming around to hit him. So he was about winning the game. He wasn't even saying, throw me the ball. As we've seen numerous receivers throw their helmets and pout like little children. He was saying, I need to be in there to protect another player to make sure he can make that play. Don't take me out of the game again in those situations, because I want to be there to protect my fellow player so he can succeed. It wasn't about me. It was about the team. And so to me, that's really the where this all stops and ends for me, is that he was pleading to help the team, not himself. And that's a rarity in the NFL. It is a rarity when you see these explosions that it's not about the person wanting to get the ball. It's about him wanting to be there to defend and protect. And so I love that about this guy, man. The thing, though, that I will say about the Taylor Swift, and first of all, they showed her for less than a minute over the entire game, like cumulative, less than a minute. People still lost their minds. I saw Megyn Kelly, who loves to make herself the center of the attention on this nonsense, because she's got to make her money with all her bullshit about the Black national anthem and all this nonsense. But to me, when I see Blake Lively flip out and go, oh my God, as if she's never seen Mahomes throw a ball down the field, that just tells me things in my mind. Like and then when you see them celebrating, it brings back for me shades of the head cheerleaders all getting together and cheering at the high school football game after they just made fun of you in the halls. So as a nerd, as an overweight nerd who used to get made fun of by people like that, when I see shots of Taylor in her box and all these people who know barely anything about football cheering in the way that they're cheering and over cheering, it does get to me, right? To be honest. That being said, they have every right to fucking be there. They have every right to celebrate as they want, and they have every right, and CBS and the NFL have a right to pan to them as many fucking times as they want. 123 million people watch this matchup, and part of that are the Swift fans. And so you can't deny this. It was a win-win for the NFL overall, and her man won the Super Bowl title, and so you can't deny that. And when she went down there to the field, she didn't make a show of herself, and this is the difference between her and Brittany Mahomes, in my opinion. She wore all black. She did not want to be the center of attention. She knew it was about her man and his game.
Oh, I know.
And so she didn't want to take attention away from him. Wore all black. Let it. So I thought that was great to me personally. Whereas Brittany is very much about look at me. Brittany Mahomes. I mean, not Britney Spears, obviously. Look at me. Okay, so there's the difference there. And so I personally, although I may have issues with it when I see it, I don't have an issue with it happening, shall I say?
Okay, so we're at that point of the show. All right, we can talk about that. I think the Brittany Mahomes slander's gotta come back a little.
Come on,
I'm gonna tell you why. There are some moments that if you really want to get into it, fine. But like the minute,
hold on, I'm gonna block your fucking ass. You're a fucking dick, and you've been making dick comments through the whole show. So goodbye, bitch.
Damn.
Yeah, I'm so sick of this. I don't know who this cunt is, but I'm fucking sick of him being on here. So however the fuck I need to block this bitch, I'm going to ban this user and delete his comments. So go ahead.
Cool. So what was I going to say? So first of all, who gives a fuck who's wearing what? It's a goddamn Super Bowl. I don't care. Like, I think the only thing that was like, and she did exactly that with Taylor that was super respectful because she is Taylor Swift. It has nothing to do with it being Brittany Mahomes or anybody, but because she's Taylor Swift, is that she let Travis have her moment. And the only time they really panned to her during Travis's speech on stage, and that was the one thing that was kind of funny, is that Travis very clearly is hype. And it's very clear that this motherfucker is about to be drunk. And they definitely panned to her, and she definitely is like, oh shit, this motherfucker's about to be drunk.
You can down the whole. You can see
it in her eyes, bro.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So I that part is super funny to me.
I mean, he sang "Viva Las Vegas" on the podium, bro. You saw her face; she was like, "Ooh."
Yeah. That he was singing it poorly, and I don't know if that was her being like, "Oh, thank God I'm the singer in the relationship," or if it's just like, yeah, he about to be wasted. Which the funny part was, Jason was the drunk one.
Oh, Jason was
on one.
I mean, I hope Jason's wife had a nice conversation with him when he got home, because some of those him wearing like a lucha libre mask or whatever he was wearing at the after party. What
that was hilarious. That felt like some Office Parks and Rec type shit. It was hilarious.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But all that being said, Brittany, where I think she's not getting a lot of credit as far as just like watching how she has now gone about certain things. So first of all, like you mentioned, her and Jackson couldn't get to the table, and she said, "Fuck it, I don't care about that." Like, do you understand that? Like, she was around a bad influence in Jackson, and it brought out some of the worst behaviors in her.
We're not going to do that. We are not going to blame another human being for a person who is A, older, B, much more seasoned, C, runs her own businesses. You're going to tell me this clown influenced her? Come on.
Yes, that's her brother-in-law, and you genuinely act like being around bad influences don't bring out the worst behavior in people. Are you seriously going to tell me that?
I'm going to tell you this: if you allow bad influences to be around you, you can't all of a sudden hide behind that shit.
Sure, but you have to remember a couple of things. First of all, again, that is her brother-in-law. So what? Patrick's going to just say, "Brother, you're not coming anymore." Eventually, that's what happened. But that's not what he was in the same fucking box all the time. You're just gonna pretend like he's not there? Bro, come on, man.
I've cut out people from my life who are my blood. I mean, I don't fuck around with that.
But that's not her choice to make. That is her brother. That is her husband's brother.
It is absolutely. What are you talking about? We all have autonomy on who we want to have around us. And we can choose if we want to be around someone's brother or not.
So she can say Jackson's not coming into Patrick's box. That is within her power. That's what you're telling me?
No, she can say, I don't want him near me. She can absolutely say that.
Sure. And again,
don't talk to me. Don't come near me. Do your thing. Let's be, Russia and the United States. Don't come near me.
Sure. But there's a couple of things you have to remember. One, the idea of, because they're family and they're in that box, about keeping the peace. Do you understand what that would look like? Because the cameras were always watching, because it is fucking Patrick's family. If all of a sudden she's like, "Get the fuck away from me," that's caught on camera. So now, mind you, you also have to remember, Patrick is not even 30. He's like 28. Brittany's around the same age. The Jackson Mahomes shit was what, about 2 years ago?
Yeah, the sexual assault stuff. Yeah.
Well, the assault stuff was last year. I'm saying him being at the forefront with all the TikToks and everybody. Shut the fuck up. It was about 2 years ago, right?
It's on the Sean Taylor number. Yeah.
So I could look up her age. I don't really feel like it. Let's just say she's the same age as Patrick. So she's 26.
Probably. They went to school together, I think so.
Right. So she's 26.
Sure.
Rocha, do you really want to tell me that even in your mid-20s, you were making the best of decisions?
Fuck no. Are you kidding? No, I was horrific.
And so,
but I also was called out for making those decisions,
which is fine.
Was brought to task, and I couldn't hide behind. I was being influenced by other people. I couldn't hide behind.
But that's not what. But hear me out again.
Take that choices.
I have said the same way with anything else. Like, for example, Rocha, I've been very open that I got diagnosed with ADHD last year, right?
Yeah.
And so that's informed a lot of things for me. My time management issues, my flakiness where I don't text people. I can still be held accountable for, bro, no, you still fucked up. But now I at least know what's going on. And if I'm making changes to do that, then that should be also acknowledged. And you can't just sit
100%.
And that's what I'm saying
but
about
I don't know that Brittany's doing that.
Show me examples where Brittany has been a fucking problem this year, instead of just resting your laurels on the past.
Oh, do you want me to show you her like making fun of the Buffalo Bills fans and waving at them and purposely
when did that happen?
Antagonizing them before the fucking playoff game against the Buffalo Bills? Her and Jackson walked around the stadium waving at the Bills fans sarcastically. Okay. And that is essentially poking the fucking bear.
Okay. Well, and that
was 2 weeks ago.
So in that particular case, if that's genuinely what, and that would have been 4 weeks ago at this point, but that's not the point.
Enough.
The point is, if that actually happened, then and she was actually a dick about it, we could have a completely different conversation. And that's a situation where I didn't know about that, but I'm saying I've watched her all season. And Brittany has not been the Brittany that we've seen that has been insufferable. But also, at what point are you also telling me that she's not allowed to talk shit to fans anymore because she's also a fan? If you go to a Cowboys Commanders game, are you telling me, Rocha, that like you have to be on your absolute best behavior?
Well, I think there's a different expectation when you're the husband or the wife of a player, and I'm including all like WNBA or the NBA, like all sports, regardless of gender, right? When you're the husband or wife or family member of a player, you exist on a different plane than a regular fan. And so there's a different set of responsibilities and expectations in terms of behavior that I think you have to adhere to in order to maintain the peace, because opposing fans can't get to that player, but they can get to you. And there's always been issues in the stands with family members getting hassled or getting yelled at or having shit thrown on them. You know, Kelly Stafford, Matthew Stafford's wife, was talking about how some of these Detroit fans were treating her and Matthew before they played the playoff game earlier this playoff season. So it happened. So the thing is, you unfortunately, that's your job is not to antagonize the other fan base. Your job is to kind of let that go and, you know, move on. And I'm trying to police anybody's behavior. You can do whatever you want. My suggestion and what I've seen work best is that you don't antagonize, because you don't know what fans can do.
Sure.
And, you know, crazy shit like Kelce going down there and bringing people into the box. Like somebody could have climbed over Kelce and just jumped in that box and done God knows what. So it's just like those kinds of things can get scary with fans. That's why.
I understand that, but now you're having a different conversation because at that point, what I would say to you is, and especially bring up, I would love to see the video of Jackson and Brittany, because I feel like if it had really been that big of a deal, it would have been all over the national news, and it wasn't. It genuinely wasn't. I saw it multiple times. You saw it, but it was not. It would have been at the, because as Jackson was acting a fool, it was at the forefront of First Take, of Sports Center, of that, of like, is Jackson a problem? And guess what was at the forefront? And that is someone that you actually should be up their ass. Patrick Mahomes Sr. getting a fucking DUI the week of the Super Bowl. So like I'm saying, I get what you're saying, and I understand that there is a track record here with her. So you automatically, if it's like when someone shows you who you are, that whole adage of like, believe them, right?
Right.
But the fact that Brittany really has not been in the news, she really hasn't. It has really been all about Taylor and Travis and all that kind of stuff. Right. I think it's unfair to be coming at her like that when, again, you have the kid's father getting arrested for a DUI the week his son is about to play one of the most important games of his entire life. Right. That you shouldn't be doing it at all, but especially during Super Bowl week. And now he's got to deal with that on his mind.
Yeah, I know. I said that earlier, that I thought it was incredible that he overcame all the stuff he overcame, you know. Right. And this is stuff from what, 2022, where she's spraying the fans.
That's a problem,
right?
That's 2022.
That was 2022, right? Exactly.
If she's not doing that anymore,
you
know,
we have seen that, right?
Because she got called on it. Because I'll tell you this: take it outside of take it outside of like the people off to the side, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about like just players doing random stuff. If with that kind of attitude, then there becomes a situation of like, well, the one time Ron Artest then ran in the stands and you had the malice in the palace. That all of a sudden now we don't give room for him to actually grow and do better. You know who has not grown and done better, and I can openly admit that now, and I realize I have been enabling him for a long fucking time. Draymond Green. Well, and if you want to go in that now you're having a conversation about not.
Afraid you're going to say someone else.
Who did you think I was going to say?
I don't want to even say it. So let's move on.
I'm very curious now. You might need to text me because
I don't want to get involved in anything. Go ahead.
Yes. You might need to text me. But I
Green, yes, go ahead.
But I'm saying that from the standpoint of like, again, you have to give people room to grow, and Brittany has, and I think that's not fair to continue to do that, especially because when you look at that situation where, you know what did go viral? I see. You know what did go viral? Specifically her at a club.
Yeah.
Jackson can't get to the table. And she's like,
right.
Well, and was doing her thing and not even pressed. There's been growth there. And she's gotten the message. Like,
fair enough. I see you defending her. So I respect that. You're very passionate about the situation. So
only because I want people that are actually a problem to be called out. And when you continue to call someone that is trying to grow,
I don't know that she's trying to grow. Her keeping her shit out of the public eye doesn't necessarily mean that she's trying to grow. I don't know that so I'm only judging from what I'm seeing, right?
Sure.
So
Sure, but I guess that's the whole thing. Understand, you know what the problem was? It wasn't that she was being a fan. It was that she was acting like she wasn't somebody that shouldn't be like keeping her shit together. You know what I'm saying? Like we should be keeping our shit together as fans, period, anyway. So like the fact that she has not been involved in that stuff, that like you need to, because I've said this again, not the political show, but I've said this, period. In any sort of situation, if you've brought up a politics and you don't agree with somebody and then you try to pitch them the situation of trying to fix it, if you immediately jump down their throat when they're like, maybe I was wrong. I told you, you stupid son of a bitch. Why would I ever apologize? Why would I ever change my mind if I'm going to get as ridiculed, if not, I'm going to have shame and ridicule now? Then I'll just double down. So we have to, as a society, just give people space to grow. And if they've proven to you that they can't or they won't, then go for it by all means. And that's why Draymond got the indefinite suspension for a minute. And I genuinely hope that we do not see any more.
What are you talking about? He hasn't learned a lesson. What are you talking? Have you not been watching him?
What, since he came back?
Yeah, you know what he said the other day? The suspension has fired us up. That's why we're winning.
Well, then
so
that
the
pisses
NBA
me
can
off.
keep suspending me.
I haven't paid attention to him since the indefinite suspension, and there was talks of like,
oh my god, watch this Phoenix Suns game from
he got another fight
days ago. Oh,
then it's indefensible at this point. It's completely indefensible. In the same way that every time, like it was sad with Ja that he ended up getting that injury that pulled him out, but like Ja Morant. But every time this kid continued to pull up a gun, I'm like,
I know.
There is a point at which I have given up that was a mistake. Yeah. Here's your little punishment. Do better.
Right.
You keep doing it. I don't have sympathy for you.
Yeah, I appreciate that you create the space. And I agree with you. You have to create the space for people to grow. Maybe some of the Marvel's defenders could create space for people to see the film and not have to be like, I told you it was a good film, and calm down. Let people like the movie if they like the movie. Let people not like the movie if they don't like the movie. Relax. And I agree with you. There's shaming someone into something and then also shaming them again when they're trying to make changes or they're trying to grow is not the way to get people to grow. You're 100% right. You're 100% right.
All I know is my mama told me that you need to have space in your heart to forgive people and you need to accept people's apologies. And if you really don't accept their apology, if that's really what it is, then cut all time. Don't do this nonsense where you're then rubbing shit in their face, because what you're ultimately doing is you're proving that you're no better in that situation. Agreed. So either you accept that apology and you move the fuck on, or you don't. But we have gotten to a place in society, period. It's crazy that we've gotten to a full social contract-esque conversation now.
That's what we're doing. I don't know what happened, but we're here.
Yeah. But you have to you have to give people room to grow, because then otherwise I have no reason to fucks with you then. If I fuck up.
People gave me room to grow. A lot of my friends will tell you pre-therapy Rocha and post-therapy Rocha are two completely different people. I used to set shit on fire, like relationships, houses, business situations. Set it on fire, man, because I was so self-destructive and had such low self-worth. I thought I didn't deserve anything. So I thought the way I could control things in my life before it fucked me over, because I created fantasies in my head, I would fuck it over so that I would have control of the situation, which ruined a lot of relationships, both friendship and romantic. And so those are things you had to learn. And once I bottomed out 2016, when I almost took my life, it was the two therapists that brought me all the way back in regression therapy to that moment where the feelings of self-worth were triggered from, which was in fucking elementary school. And that's what was beginning the building blocks of changing. And there's no way I'd be with the Lady Outlaw now, as long as we've been together and as successful as our relationship has been, if friends hadn't given me space to grow and climb out of this thing because they love me. So you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. So maybe I am being unfair, but I haven't seen any of this stuff. So maybe I'll do a little more digging or a little more research here on seeing all of this stuff. Maybe I'll follow her Instagram so I can monitor what she's doing.
Did you watch Quarterback?
No, I did not, because all the other quarterbacks weren't that interesting besides Patrick. So I wasn't. You
didn't think. I thought the same thing until I watched it.
Okay,
and that was obviously Patrick is the most interesting because he's Patrick Mahomes, and then this was leading into his win over the Eagles last year, right?
Oh yeah, right.
But as much as I don't fuck with Kirk Cousins because of the whole vaccination thing, that shit was fascinating. Yeah. Even though I think Mariota is kind of a bust based on where he was drafted, he was also fascinating, especially because like giving his side of what was going on with him just having a baby and how that dumpster fire of an organization that the Atlanta Falcons treated him, bro. It was it gave, and so for me, the real linchpin, because there was something I didn't like about each of the three individuals, and in that case, it was Brittany, because Brittany was right there with Jackson. Watching her as a wife, as a football wife, watching her I was like, I actually gained so much empathy for her, and I started to understand her more. It doesn't mean there weren't moments I was like, oh, well, that's Brady Mahomes, but for the most part, I genuinely was like, you know what, dude, she has had this whole life really thrust upon her, and she's just trying to do the best she can for her and her family, period. She doesn't mean she can't make mistakes. She does.
Yeah.
But she's genuinely like that show. The same way with Kirk, I was like, I don't fuck with him and his vax mentality and how he handled that. But I also was like, damn, I have a lot of empathy for this guy, especially like you were also drafted to this team the same time as RG3. Then you take his spot, and then you kind of move him, but you really don't get over the hump. And like, it's fascinating. I highly recommend.
I've been looking for something new to watch that's sports related because I love those sports docs. So maybe I will watch quarterback. Okay, fine. You talk to me. I got to watch the Tatiana Suarez one first on HBO, but then I'll watch that for sure.
All right. So we got to talk this halftime show, though, bro.
No, listen, we're an hour and 10 minutes in. God damn it. We only got to halftime. All right, hold on. Let's take a break.
Back to halftime.
Let's take a break. And because I should have taken a break 30 minutes ago, but let's take a break and we'll jump into the halftime show right after this. How are we doing an hour and 10 minutes on one game? Oh my God.
It's the Super Bowl.
All right. Let's. I do that for the podcast, by the way. If you guys want to download the podcast, you can go to the Outlaw Nation Podcast Network. A number of the shows are on there from the Outlaw Nation. But all right. So yeah, all right. It's a halftime show. Take it away, man. I don't know what to say because man, Rihanna is so tough to follow, and I thought Usher did a fine job. But it wasn't fully my cup of tea. So please take it.
I'll let you do this.
Yeah,
Usher was. His name is USHERRAYMOND. Let me tell you what you want to do with me, bro. He did a great job. I think the one thing that bothered me a little bit, but you're gonna do that because it is the Super Bowl.
Okay.
You're gonna play your most popular songs across like radio and shit.
Not all of them. He didn't play that DJ song.
So, what, DJ got us falling in love
again? Yeah.
Come on. Sure. I just don't think that that's quite as big. I'll be honest with you. I do not like, and apparently most black people, I didn't know it was just me. Apparently most black people do not like Oh My God with will.i.am. We all kind of collectively hate that song. Yeah. So him doing that, we were all kind of like, ugh. And then the other running joke amongst black people, especially during Black History Month, is like, sitting here knowing that the white people just want Usher to do so badly. Like that was the running joke. They are like, he doesn't know us. They don't know a single other Usher song, but they're waiting for They're just waiting for that shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
All of that to me was like the show in general was really well done. He proved like again the three best dancers probably of all time.
Wow,
are Michael Jackson.
Yes.
Chris Brown and Usher. And then you could throw Bruno Mars in there too if you want to, potentially as the Mount Rushmore. But as far as just like,
are you going to leave out? I'm not going to let you. You know what? I'm not going to let you leave out James Brown. What the hell are you talking?
You could definitely throw in James Brown. You can
throw throw in. What is wrong with you? There's no Michael without James. Are you insane?
Sure. So here's my question. You know what James Brown feels like? James Brown feels like Bill Russell. Are you putting Bill Russell on the Mount Rushmore of basketball players? No, as far as dancing, I'm not talking about as just an artist. I'm talking specifically as
4 foot tall.
I'm just saying. I'm asking you. Would you put Bill Russell on the Mount Rushmore of basketball players?
You're asking me to agree with your characterization, and I don't see him as Bill Russell.
Okay,
who do you see him as? Magic Johnson. That's who he is, Magic Johnson.
And do you put Magic on the Mount Rushmore of basketball players?
There are some days that I feel like he belongs on there.
Yeah. Okay, and so there are some days I'll give you that with James Brown, and I've seen enough James Brown in my life because of my parents. But come on, ain't nobody touching Michael. Michael is Michael. He did things that like he gave imagination to everybody to come after him, right?
Bro, watch Dancing Machine from back in the 70s. When he does the robot move, my jaw always hits the floor. But yes, you're right.
I get it. But to act like so that's then where I follow up with you and I'm like, have you truly watched Chris Brown and Usher through the course of their career and their dancing. Because
I
Chris
have a
Brown,
tough time with Chris because of the shit with Rihanna and other stuff that's going on. But yes, he is an
which is
excellent
fine
dancer.
Which
I agree
is,
with you, man.
I didn't ask about his character,
but
because of that.
If there's a Rushmore, there's 4. So James is on there. So go ahead.
Which is fine. You can
Paula.
if that's
Would you argue Paula? I mean, Paula.
It's also incredible. It's
Yes.
also incredible. But I'm trying to say though, like I will pull, like, again, you want to talk about how frustrating Chris Brown is as an individual. And that's not even what we're talking about right now. We're talking about the halftime show.
Right. Go ahead.
It's that he is as talented as he is, both as a singer and a dancer, but he is very problematic.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I could say the same thing about Kanye, how incredibly talented he is as a producer, as a rapper, and as a massively problematic person, right?
Massively problematic. I agree.
I can say the same thing about Chris. I can say the same thing about Chris Brown and his ability to dance. But that's beside the point.
Okay.
The main thing that I really want to talk about with this halftime show.
We got there. All right, go ahead. Yes.
How on Black History Month is one of the greatest soul singers and piano players, Alicia off keys, gonna come out there and miss that first note so badly. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna go ahead and share this real quick.
She sounded like Ariana Grande at the end of the Wicked trailer. It was like, what?
Damn.
Damn. That was not good. All right. Yeah,
All
I mean,
right, Here we go. Ready?
To share something? All right, hold on.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead.
Some people.
That was so bad, bro.
Oof.
It was just one more time.
Some people.
Like when I tell you one of the most talented singers we ever heard. So that's just a bad night. That's just a bad. That's a Peyton Manning safety in your own end zone in the Super Bowl literally situation. She did recover. She recovered.
She recovered really well.
Whoo, but damn, that was rough. That was a rough start. But the follow-up, which made me laugh, is the number of Black people that started to get so mad at Usher, being like, Usher needs to be stopped, because then he was all booed up on Alicia Keys at the end of my boo.
Yeah.
And they were out here being like, Usher has to be stopped, bro. He can't keep coming up to everybody's girl like this.
Yeah, people put memes up of Swizz Beatz seeing that performance and getting real fucking upset about it.
Upset and shit. Oh my God, man. Yeah. But this halftime show for me was phenomenal. I actually liked it better than Rihanna's, and the reason why is,
how dare you?
But the reason why is, one, you're gonna pretend like those little sperms didn't happen, bro, and we didn't just literally watch Rihanna try and explain to her that she was pregnant again throughout that was the sperms running through the fallopian tubes. She's dressed like a fucking egg, coming fertile, because they were all dancing around her. So she couldn't move because she's really pregnant. And then at the very end, she's singing "Shine Bright Like a Diamond" to the baby. It's like, I'm pregnant. Exactly. Usher out here testing relationships, bro. So I don't like. The other thing to keep in mind, though, that work husband meme was hilarious. Exactly. But then the other thing to keep in mind with Rihanna, and I didn't know this. I was made aware of this last summer, post the Super Bowl, and I was fighting tooth and nail, being like, y'all don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And it was shown to me, Rihanna is very well produced. She is not the best of singers.
You know what? You are just on.
Do you want me to
level?
Do you want me to show it to you?
Because I don't need to see it. How dare you?
You don't want to know. You don't want to know.
I don't want to know.
I'm
offended.
Rihanna.
You think I'd want to know?
I fought tooth and nail until too many examples got shown of me and her in live performances not being produced like that, and I was like, oh no.
I don't go to see her be unproduced. I go to see her be produced. Okay? By the way, I want to show you this Boss Logic, who's one of my boys. His thing here, putting in the Scarlet Witch horns on her.
Oh, on top of it, that's pretty cool.
Genius.
That's really, really cool.
This is the only sequel to Multiverse of Madness I'll ever watch. She is the fucking Scarlet Witch, for God's sakes.
That was pretty cool.
That was
so pretty cool.
Blown away by that. But yeah, no, it was a really good. Look, Usher is a damn good talent. Do you know what I'm saying? I just prefer, because I love Rihanna more. That's the only reason. And Rihanna does things to me that make me sweaty. And so, like, to me, I enjoyed that aspect.
Which is fine. You know, that's
Usher was great.
That's what's messing with your head, bro, is that you're being led by Little Rope, by the Little Outlaw, not by Big Outlaw, as far as just the show. You know what I'm saying?
It's a medium outlaw. Little outlaw.
Medium outlaw. That wasn't a shot. That wasn't.
Let's get it squared away here.
That was sorry. The smaller.
I'm not
outlaw.
black, but I can I can hang.
So the younger brother outlaw. What do you want me to say?
I get to sit at the adults table. It's not a kiddie table type of situation. That's all I'm saying.
Oh my god,
yeah, my palms were sweaty. That's right. But yeah, no, I thought it was great. All right, anything more? We got a bunch of streamlabs that have come through. Should we answer those? Is there anything more we should talk about from the Super Bowl?
Do it. I think that's it.
I think it was a lot. There was a lot here, but like I think it's suffice to say it wasn't a great game, but certainly the ending was great, and the back and forth at the end finally had some excitement. These are two good teams that will most likely see each other again for a third Super Bowl, I imagine, down the road. And I hope you feel like these are two good teams that are going to come back.
I actually was mad disrespectful. There are two people that I would actually. So let's see here.
Okay.
I would still have to. I'm very sorry. I would still have to knock off James. James is the godfather. He's the godfather of soul. He's the godfather of doing this shit. So I'll still give him credit for being the godfather of it, right? Okay. Janet Jackson and Shakira
but not Beyonce. You're not going to put Beyonce?
Oh, Beyonce's in there too, but both Janet and Shakira, bro. They're a little bit hot. Like Beyonce. Here's the thing. Yeah. I would make the argument that Beyonce is a Mount Rushmore of overall performer. Period.
100%.
So her creative stance, her singing ability, her songs that she comes up with, and the team that she puts together, her marketing, her ability to do all of that collectively. But if if you just like you were looking at NBA players, the best shooter hands down is Steph Curry. I don't think he's the best basketball player ever. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So if we're just talking in terms of just straight dance, Beyonce is top 10 for sure.
But Paula coordinated all of Janet's dances. So it's like,
sure,
you're going to give it to Paula or Janet? I put Paula over Janet.
I don't know, man.
Any day of the week. I think Paula is.
I'll have to go rewatch some Paula stuff for sure.
I mean, all that fucking Rhythm Nation shit. That's all Paula. I think
that's true. That's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah. But Shakira, absolutely. I'm not going to deny that.
Shakira is insane, bro. But Janet too. I got to give the edge to the two Jacksons. You got two Jacksons up there on Sierra's in the conversation too. But I got to put the two Jacksons on the Rushmore because that's crazy. Because
they would have to have some hits. Winston, I feel like you have to have some hits. Sierra,
she has hits. Oh, whoa! You act like My Goodies wasn't a massive
crossover
song.
Hits. I'm talking crossover hits.
You acted like 1-2 Step wasn't a massive song.
I think people knew it, but I don't know.
Let me see how many number ones Sierra has, because I know Sierra has some number ones.
It's not single ladies. Show me if she has any number ones on the pop charts. That's what I'm talking about. Hits.
Yeah, for sure. All right, I'll bring them for you. Give me 30 seconds. So let's see. Goodies was a number one. It was number one for 7 weeks
on the pop chart.
Yes. A Billboard Top 100. 1-2 Step was number 2 on the charts for 39 weeks on the chart, but it hit number 2. So she has one number 1 hit. She has 8 top 10s. Lose Control. She was hit number 3.
I do remember Lose Control. I like that.
With Ludacris hit number 2, and Like You with Bow Wow hit number 3. So she has 5 in the top 3.
All right. I stand corrected. 35 million followers as well. So I stand corrected. Paula got hits. Boogie, are you stupid? Paula got fucking hits. The whole first album is full of fucking hits. Don't get me started on Paula.
Don't come for Paula. There's a reason why they tapped her for American Idol, bro. I'm not. I can't. Come on. I'm not gonna let the. So Paula has 4 number ones that were
Boogie,
all.
I don't know you personally. But you coming from one of my family members in Paula.
So Paula has the same number of top 10 hits as Sierra. And she has significantly less songs. Sierra had 30 songs in the top 100, and Paula has 15. However, Paula has at number 3, It's Just Me, The Way That You Love Me at number 3, but then straight up at number 1 for 3 weeks, Opposites Attract at number 1 for 3 weeks, Forever Your Girl at number 1 for 2 weeks, and Cold Hearted at number 1 for 1 week. Like, you got to put respect on Paula's name, bro.
Plus, she had Keanu Reeves in a video. Come on now.
I forgot about the
Come on. Fucking Rebel Without a Cause, dog. I still go back to the Rush album. That's my album.
That's your album.
Come on,
old man. You old
Kisses
man.
in the Wind. Come on. You're messing with Paula now. Slow it
Paula
down.
got hits. Well, okay. What are the stream?
Would you marry me, boy? Come on now. That's the song. All right. Anyway, let's see. This is a preview of Spill the Tequila, isn't it? Or Spill the Horchata, whatever we're gonna do. Anyway, we've got a lot of Streamlabs. Thank you guys so much. I was scared that no one was going to watch tonight because it was such an odd time. So the fact that we got 7 of these, I'm thankful. So let's run through them here. Thomas Fong says, fun game. Sad to see my Niners lose again, but luckily we ain't losing much. Congrats to Sean's Chiefs. Yeah, Sean Brennan, who was in here earlier. Happy birthday to Sean. He was out celebrating and stopped in for a couple of minutes, but happy birthday to Sean.
Man. Congrats on your win.
Congrats on your win, bro. What a great present. He said, thanks for another fun football season, John and Winston. Tried to have my second son named after either of you, but my wife said the names were too white. LOL.
That's so disrespectful. That's so disrespectful.
We're 2 people of color. What the fuck are you talking about?
But those are John and Winston are some pretty white ass names.
Yeah.
The only defense that I have, I feel like the name Winston has been fully just taken away from the traditional British standards, and it's become a very Jamaican ass name. Like, how many West Indians do you know named Winston? Like, a lot.
Yeah,
Andy got Winston from New Girl for all the millennial and Gen Zers.
That's right.
I feel like Winston's become a black ass name at this point. But
I agree. Winston. I agree with that. Absolutely. All right, let's see the next one. Mike Joyce says, biggest mistake the Bears ever made was drafting Mitch Trubisky over Mahomes. Would Mahomes be this good if the Bears drafted him? No. And I think this is key. These people who are Chicago Bears fans, and I don't know if Peggy is in here, but like, they claim that, if we had gotten Mahomes over Trubisky, you'd have pissed away Mahomes as well because you did not have a good system to coach him. Andy Reid was the perfect coach for him. You know, the Kansas City Chiefs traded up to select Mahomes. People forget this. They traded up. You know why? Because Andy Reid had been the quarterback's coach in Green Bay with Brett Favre. He knew great talent. He saw things in Patrick Mahomes that other people didn't see. I watched some video. I don't know if I can find it. I watched some video where they compiled all these people, Chris Carter, all these people from different networks saying how Mahomes is a terrible choice. Nobody should take that. Deshaun Watson will win a Super Bowl before Patrick Mahomes even smells one. They said all this shit. And the general manager get juxtaposed in between saying, we believe in this guy. We know what this guy can do. We've seen the talent. We know what he's going to bring us. And he was proven right, so.
Dude, I was very impressed.
Yeah.
Very, very impressed by that super cut that someone put together of God, what is the GM's name? I keep forgetting. John.
Yeah. John. Yeah. I'll find it. Go ahead.
Because he's the GM now of the Lions, which is actually further proof why I believe that the Lions will end up winning a Super Bowl.
Maybe.
Because you went and figured out how to put pieces around Goff, and they're really just they're so young.
Yeah,
you found Laporta. You went and found Gibbs. Like
John Dorsey. That's his name.
Dorsey, dude. The Lions will win a Super Bowl, maybe even 2, because that's such a young team.
Very possible.
That is such a young team, and I think that Jared Goff is now playing his best ball.
Yeah.
So I think that you're having a situation where like an opening will happen because a lot of that is matchup stuff.
Yep.
And I genuinely think that they can make shit happen, bro. So I woof.
Sean Brennan sent in, said, hello, fellas. What a beautiful day today is. Which do you guys think is closer, the gap between Reid and Belichick or between Brady and Mahomes? And do you think the greatness of this defense will be lost to the shadow of Mahomes' last drive? Love you guys. Winston, what are your thoughts on this?
The bigger gap?
Yeah. Is it Reid and between Reid and Belichick or Brady and Mahomes?
Well, I would make the argument that what do we mean? I guess that's what I mean by gap. If you just mean straight talent, I think that gap between Brady and Mahomes is damn near minuscule.
Yeah.
The only thing that Brady truly had, because I would make this argument. People get really upset when you say that so and so is more talented than a GOAT, because again, I would make the argument that just gifts and all that LeBron is a more talented basketball player than Jordan, but Jordan is the GOAT.
Jordan's GOAT.
You know what I'm saying?
Question. Yeah.
LeBron is more talented. He's bigger. He's had like just the longevity and how he uninjury prone he's been.
Yep.
How many times he took himself to the NBA finals, even if he didn't have a squad around him. Like there's a number of things to be put into there. However, Jordan is the GOAT. I would say the same thing with Brady and Mahomes. Mahomes has done unreal things. I think he's like what now 16-3 in the postseason, 6 straight AFC championship games, 3 titles already in the same amount of seasons. It was 6 for Brady, 6 for Mahomes to be able to do that.
Yeah.
But Brady is the GOAT. But the only difference is I think Mahomes may eventually pass him for the GOAT. I genuinely think when his career is over, he will.
Don't give me this shit that he's not the GOAT because he lost to Brady twice. That is nonsense. Utter nonsense. If he wins 7 or 8, if he wins 8 Super Bowls and by the way, he's going to have to do it without Andy Reid because there's no way Andy
Reid will retire at some point.
He has to. And so if Mahomes wins like 2 more without Reid, then he's surpassed Brady. And that's end of conversation. In my opinion, people are going to debate it till they're dead, especially Patriots homers. But to me, what he's done, and people are already saying he's a better quarterback now than Brady was at this stage of his career. And that is scary to think about.
I agree with that because that is true. Just looking at numbers and the eye test, that is true. Yeah. The only thing, and Mahomes has that same clutch gene in him.
He does. Yeah.
Brady just kept winning, and like he obviously could lose because you had other Super Bowl winners. Peyton got 1.
Yeah.
Peyton got 2 actually. He showed up to 4. But he won 2 of them. Drew
3.
Brees won.
He was in the Super Bowl 3 times. Oh no, 4, right? Because they lost the Seahawks. My bad.
He had 2 with the Colts, 2 with the Broncos.
I always forget
he was 2-2 in Super Bowls. You had right. Drew Brees got 1.
Yeah.
So Wilson got 1. So plenty of people won the Super Bowl within the Brady era of 20 years. But for him to show up to 9 of them, I believe, and win 7, that's insane. That is literally insane that he almost was almost in the Super Bowl half of his career.
Yep.
And then when he showed up, he won a majority of them.
Yeah. And he did it without, and in the end, he did it without Belichick. And people forget that Rams season, Brady and them came back in that game. If Goff doesn't throw those 2 passes to Cooper Kupp, who knows if Brady's winning that game and going on a Mahomes-esque run through the playoffs with the mythos of Tom Brady hanging over people and unsettling them and him going into the Super Bowl and winning it. Who knows? And possibly beating the Chiefs. Yeah. And that's, it would be the Bengals, possibly beating the Bengals in that Super Bowl. So who knows? Okay, let's move on to the, I think the Brady Mahomes thing is much more smaller.
Smaller. I think Reid and Belichick's a little bigger.
I think because Reid's was a choke artist before Mahomes, that's never going to be able to be pushed away, in my opinion.
Well, but see,
because he wasn't a 25-year-old coach.
But see, then but then you could make that argument that Belichick didn't do shit before Brady showed up. He was a part of a winning team.
I agree.
That won a Super Bowl.
I agree.
And then once he left, he fell apart. So
but
then
he wasn't
the other
a choke artist before Brady showed up. Like he wasn't taking teams to the NFC Championship consistently or AFC Championship consistently and blowing it before Brady showed up. Reid did that with Kansas City.
What's funny, if you're doing that, then you have just made my argument about Shanahan then.
What do you mean?
Well, because you're saying as far as that early part, a lot of success, a really great coach taking them to the highest ceiling. You could make the same argument for Shanahan.
Fine. Shanahan a choke artist as well. I guess I could say that then. Okay, fair point. But now he is a choke artist. Yes.
Right. But I think you could also then say, like, I think the one thing you have to remember, and I think that's not fair to say that maybe in that early part of his career he is, but to call Andy Reid a choke artist at any point as far as an overall is crazy because
early part. This was 5 years ago. Winston. It was not early part of his career. This is 5 years ago.
I understand it was a long time of him not doing it, but something clicked. Remember, the same thing was true with Jordan. Jordan couldn't get past the bad boy Pistons forever. Once he figured out the formula, though, and once he had Phil at his back, that was it. Then all of a sudden, Michael Jordan became Michael fucking Jordan. He was already like, wow, this kid is fucking crazy. But then the legend of Michael Jordan created The Last Dance and Space Jam and everything else.
I just want to make it clear. Because I got stats here, right? Reid went to 4 straight NFC Championships games and couldn't win the Super Bowl and only got to 1 Super Bowl. And then in Kansas City, the same stuff happened. Okay. He blew an 18-point halftime lead to the Titans in 2018. That's single digits 6 years ago. Then blew a 28-point lead in 2014 to Andrew Luck and the Colts, which was a larger number than the 28-3 in Atlanta and New England. And I don't even put that on Kyle. People want to put that on Kyle. He's not the head coach. Dan Quinn was the head coach. That's who should carry the choke artist tag from that game, not Kyle Shanahan, in my opinion. So Andy Reid has been choking for quite some time for both teams. It wasn't until Mahomes showed up that pulled his ass out of the fire.
I would just say the only thing with that, and I agree, Dan Quinn deserves more of the blame.
Yes.
But I think why you put it on everybody is because you have now had a situation where Kyle Shanahan has gotten again to those highest heights and keeps blowing it. You know what I'm saying? That's the only reason is it just adds. I think you don't use it if that's the only time it happens, or if it only happened when he was a coordinator. But it just adds to examples to character. Like if this was a court case, it's a character witness, sir. He's been doing this his entire life.
He's right. You're right. All right. One donated. Thank you, one. Appreciate the nice donation there. Doug Developer is in here. What's up, Doug? He said, I believe a combination of hardware, stats, and eye test determines a GOAT. Mahomes may not get Brady's 7 overall rings, but if he makes that up by tying him with 5 Super Bowl MVPs and wins more MVPs at 4, the GOAT title can still be his.
Mm-hmm.
So,
again, because it is a combo of all of it. Yeah. I think the one thing that that is definitely a very high platform to get over, right?
Totally.
But if you're really you don't ever want to just bank it off of they won the most championships. Because again, if that's the case, then your argument for basketball is Michael Jordan is not even remotely close to the GOAT. It's Bill Russell. And then Robert Horry of all fucking people. Big Shot Horry apparently is the second greatest player of all time.
Big Shot Rob. I still have PTSD from those Sacramento games because I was such a fan. Because Webber's my favorite player ever. Chris Webber is my favorite player ever. Look, Jordan is the GOAT, and I love Jordan, and I will worship Jordan's feet. But Chris Webber was my favorite player ever. And so they came so close a couple of times to beating those Lakers, and to have them blow it like that, I'll never, ever forgive that fucking corrupt referee for that. Yeah. I am Two Fly Cam says, love the show, fellas. Let's all be ready for Super Bowl 59 next year. The Cleveland Browns versus the Detroit Lions. Seahawks need a year or two. They need a quarterback or two. Also, I know it's not sports, but Paramount just laid off 800 people right after reporting record ratings for the Super Bowl. Well, be safe, everyone. Well, it doesn't translate. Like, you don't make the ratings and then go, oh, we can now keep these people. That's not how it works. They're doing that so they can look slim to be sold or to be bought. It's either one of the two, to either buy or be bought. And that's what I think is happening there with Paramount. So, but no way Browns versus Lions next year. Browns? No way. Come
on. They'll be in the mix, but I do not see enough strength out of the Cleveland Browns to do that. Like Deshaun Watson, if you're talking about who he was when he first got in the league, I would have had more faith in that. He's so far shown me that he's a degenerate and that he gets hurt and that he just doesn't have the same sauce. So if he suddenly turns around, he's not even in the conversation for like the top 10 quarterbacks in the league because let's see, Mahomes. So Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow. Honestly, even though the Chargers are terrible, Justin Herbert in the way that he's been playing and whatnot. CJ Stroud, who just appeared on the scene. You could still make the argument about Trevor Lawrence, who I think has been playing better than Deshaun Watson right now. Dak Prescott has finally decided to arrive. He's got to get over some stuff. Let's see. Matt Stafford is still playing at a super high level. I'm trying to think what other quarterbacks
receivers now. They're seasoned receivers,
right? If Aaron Rodgers is not hurt, Aaron Rodgers is in there. Yeah. Tua was in a conversation at one point for an MVP. Brock Purdy was in the conversation for MVP. Like, there's a lot of quarterbacks I would take before I take Deshaun Watson at this particular juncture. So I don't think so with the Browns. But Detroit Lions, I could definitely see that.
Detroit Lions is a possibility, but I don't see the Browns. They got to figure out the Deshaun situation and the Joe Flacco and whoever else they've got rolling around out there that they can bring in. So Wiley K. Todd. Hey, what's up, Wiley? Says sending in support. I thought Purdy did a great job. Yeah,
I agree. I think he did.
Right? Are you a believer now in Purdy? Any reservations still, or what's your thought?
No, only in this. I think that Purdy has proven that he is a top tier quarterback. Yeah. I think that he's what we really got out of this entire playoff run. Nobody that is active is in the conversation with Patrick Mahomes. Not a single one. Yeah, it is Patrick Mahomes and then the field. Yeah. And then the rest of that, I would say then that next tier is an unflappable Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, and those three, their issues all kind of fall for different things. Burrow, it's his health, because if he's healthy, then he actually balls out like crazy. Lamar, there seems to be this weird blockage that happens in these big games in the playoffs. Yeah. So that's that. And then for Josh Allen, it's those damn turnovers, bro. Because to be honest with you, it's not that he turned the ball over a whole bunch in the playoffs.
No, he didn't.
But he put them in such a hole throughout the regular season. To act like that is not a fucking problem is crazy, because he'll then potentially do that in a major moment that you need him not to. But it's those three, and then after that, you kind of have everybody else that you talk about. So the Dax, the Hurts, the Herbert. Herbert, I think, can easily get to that second tier, but he needs Harbaugh to help him get there. You know,
I agree. I am Two Fly Cam says, wow, you guys need to do more research. LOL. Top 3 dancers are MJ, Fred Astaire, and maybe Breezy. Who is Breezy?
Chris Brown.
Oh, he's called oh, that's right. Yeah, all right, Breezy.
So first of all, I said 2 of those. I understand Fred Astaire, but that's another. That really feels. Fred Astaire is a phenomenal dancer, but that 100% feels like well, he invented dance, so he gets to be a part of that conversation.
That's your Bill Russell. That's your Bill Russell. No. I'm a Gene Kelly fan. That's a fucking great dancer. But like, you know, Fred's a great dancer, but that's not my style. Gene's more my style. But
that feels very like Fred is definitely in the conversation. He could hold his own, but that feels very much like a. Well, he was the best basketball player until black people started playing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's like then what like
you're trying to tell me George Mikan is a great center, and it's like black people weren't playing when George Mikan, you know, like, or Babe Ruth. You know,
like Elvis was a fine of enough dancer, but there were so many black people that just didn't have whiteness on their side to be able to like they would have danced around that motherfucker.
Agree. Listen, you're not going to find any complaints of me defending Elvis about his dancing. His singing is a whole nother ballgame, but his dancing for sure. Let's see here. Doug Developer says, I also think this Mahomes win not only makes him much more in the conversation with Brady, but also makes Brady no longer the absolute indisputable GOAT, like Jerry Rice, a wide receiver, or Gretzky in hockey, or Messi in soccer, maybe. LOL. Well, yeah, people still argue the Messi thing with Cristiano Ronaldo. And to me, Pele is still the greatest to ever play the game, in my opinion. But Pele is like, you know, Bill Russell. So people aren't going to know that. But like, he was incredible when he played.
Ronaldo and Messi, bro.
That's the battle.
Manning. You know what I'm saying? And like, I did not watch soccer back then to really, and I'm sure I could go look up Pele stuff. And you
weren't alive back then. What are you talking about? Yeah,
that's what I thought. I thought he was dominant in the 80s. It was early
70s. He was dominant from the 50s into the 80s, like 50s.
Okay, got it. So all that being said, I haven't seen it, but I have seen enough of Ronaldo and Messi to be like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Great.
Like the fact that Messi showed up. And I don't know if that speaks of the MLS or if that just speaks to Messi, that he shows up to Inter Miami and they go from being the worst team in the league to being in contention for the fucking title. Yeah. Almost 3 goals in like a game. Like, I was just, what?
Yeah, people better get ready this year because he brought over Suarez and a couple other people. It is going to be a madhouse in Miami for sure with that team. Let's see. Yeah, and I agree with you, Douglas, what you said, or Doug, that Mahomes is in the conversation. And I think Brady knows it too. You can see Brady bristle a little bit when they bring up Mahomes in certain conversations. Look, he's being respectful and he knows Mahomes is a really nice guy. Doesn't, cross lines, doesn't overstep, doesn't overstate. But, Brady, you can see Brady bristle. That's professional pride. He's going to bristle at the whole situation. And to possibly be surpassed this quickly after you retire must be kind of a mind fuck.
That's really got to mess with you. Yeah. Because you remember how upset Kareem was when LeBron took the points from him? It kept being talked about, and it kept being like, and as a Laker, and he would keep going to the games, and you could tell he was like, motherfucker. He would never wish that on LeBron. Yeah. But there was that, we all have those little dark thoughts in our head. I guarantee you there was one little dark thought that was like, but what if his knee just went out and he just decided to retire? Like, he would never actually wish that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But like, there's that one part where you're just like, but what if he just slipped and fell real quick?
I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. I actively cheered against some people in the Schmodown. I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't want them to get a 4th title or a 3rd title or whatever.
Absolutely.
Not that I want a physical injury.
No, not at all. But that all of a sudden they go into a temporary coma until the Schmodown is over. Then they wake up and it's just like, what is it? 2019? I got to play my title match. I know how you think, Rocha.
Yeah, you know what the game is. I want to bring it back. Cowboys fan 92 says, "Hi, you get to my Streamlab. I stepped away for dinner." I don't know, Cowboys fan, if you're under a different name, because we read all the Streamlabs. Those are all the Streamlabs. So if you're under a different name, we read the one from Thomas Fong, Mike Joyce, Sean Brennan, Doug Developer, I'm Two Fly Cam, Wiley K. Todd, and Doug Developer again. There was one person who donated a little bit but didn't put any message. So if that's you, maybe you want to put your message in real quick. But we didn't see it. If we haven't read it, if you're not under those names, we didn't read it. So, all right. And one last thing before we wrap up, because we should wrap up. Jesus Christ, I can't believe we talked one game for an hour and 45 minutes. But the Mahomes almost immediately, and this really impressed me and made me sit back and go like, Jesus. Like when Rocky gets punched and just sits down when Drago hits him. That's what I felt when Mahomes immediately after the game was over, the post-game interview, he said, "We're not done. We're going for a three-peat." And I had shades of Magic, shades of LeBron, shades of Jordan. This idea of wanting to go and win. No one's ever won 3 Super Bowls in a row.
It's never been done, right?
No, it's never been done. So this is madness. Kelce was saying it. Reid was saying it. A three-peat. Is this possible? Do you think they can make this happen? And what's that? Shouldn't that scare the entire league? If these guys just won with their worst offense and said, "We're coming back and we need a three-peat," like, shouldn't that scare the shit out of you?
It should, but I here's the thing. It would be really cool to watch happen. And I'll be honest with you, if he does that and has a similar type play through the end of it, that conversation about is he the GOAT might already be over, because it's the one thing that Brady couldn't do.
Yeah, win 3 in a row.
Yes. And that's another thing that you kind of need, is you need that random thing that like sets you apart, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think that it's gonna happen. And the reason why is not because I'm a hater. The reason why it's happened in the NHL, the reason why it's happened in the MLB, the reason why it's happened in basketball, there is room for the best team wins 90% of the time because it's a series.
Right.
So you have room for an actual error.
Yeah.
With football, and also because injuries happen at a much higher rate because of how violent the sport is.
Yeah.
Literally, if we're, like I said, Mahomes' legs were pinned during one of those tackles. If it didn't happen where his legs had gone out from it, that's a wrap. You know what I'm saying? And so I think there's too much injury. There's too much parity. There's too much kind of going on that would potentially prevent that from. But if they do it, guess what? That's like the 92 Dolphins, or the 72 Dolphins.
72 Dolphins. Yeah.
You're seeing it's the thing that I think would never happen again.
Yeah.
Realistically. And I think that is the thing that we kind of saw why the Patriots was so wild and losing to the Giants like that, is that literally you're in a situation where you're watching something that we'll never see again. So if they do it, that's awesome. And I'd actually be here for it. I would cheer for it. But I unless the Cowboys are in the Super Bowl, then I'm trying to play spoiler. I don't know what the fuck to tell you.
Would he be firmly in the GOAT conversation if they go undefeated and win the Super Bowl next year? And by the way, Tom Brady is doing the play-by-play.
If they win the Super Bowl, if they win the three-peat and they're undefeated, I don't even think are you fucking kidding me? Of course he's the GOAT. Because at that point, I guarantee you he most likely won MVP. That would have been meant, because who on that team is going to outplay Patrick Mahomes? So you're telling me he became regular season MVP.
Yeah.
He three-peated. Yeah. He also at that point would probably win Super Bowl MVP. It's possible that it was a Kelce situation or something like that, but it typically ends up being like either a running back because they're running all over the place, and so you didn't need the ball thrown to you, or a defensive player.
Yeah.
But if he does that, it's not even close. It's not even close. I genuinely think the conversation is over, because that also means that he would have gone to 7 straight AFC championship games. Yeah. He would have gone to 5 Super Bowls in 6 seasons.
Yep.
He would have three-peated. He would have been a 4-time champion, a 3-time MVP, because again, you're talking about undefeated. He would have done something that has only been done once ever in the league, and he finished the job that Brady couldn't do.
Yeah. Well, you look at the situation here, right? We're looking at 2024 NFL free agents, because listen, Travis Kelce is 34. This is one of the first seasons where he had under 1,000 yards receiving. And if he's about to get married to Taylor Swift, he's going to be pulled in a lot of directions. And so you've got to find a replacement for Travis Kelce. Here are the people roaming around. T. Higgins is out there as a wide receiver that is a free agent. Michael Pittman Jr., who played fantastically for the Colts, is out there. Mike Evans is a possible free agent. I guess they're going to figure out what they're going to do with Mayfield. Marquise Brown is out there as a wide receiver as well. There are a lot of wide receivers that could come in and take the duties away from Travis Kelce. Hey, I apologize. I was trying to say duties. I was trying to say it right. So yeah, there are real possibilities for them to pick up some legitimate. And what if you bring in Derrick Henry as like a backup running back for Pacheco? That's a hell of a combo. Like if they start splurging the money on some of these free agents that are roaming around, and some of them will take cuts. Listen, Dalton Schultz is available coming out of the Texans. That's a damn good tight end. So yeah.
Dude, if you give him if you literally give him another weapon, I would then guarantee you that they're gonna win another Super Bowl because the biggest thing that had us with a question mark, and they all got in line at the end there was who is out there helping him. So if you have a situation where you're constantly have Kelce tripled up, now that Rashee Rice has kind of arrived, you're like, shit, okay, we got to double Kelce, but we can't triple him. So that because we got to make sure that somebody's on Rice. But then if you throw any of the ones you just said, especially a Mike Evans, so another big, fast,
Good
my
God.
God.
Yeah. Good.
Oh.
Oh. So yeah, I mean, there
oh my God. I did it again, so I'm gonna let the beat drop. I hate that song.
Gabriel Davis is available. What if you take Gabriel Davis from the Bills and put a Chiefs uniform on him? That's a speedster.
What if you take Stephon Diggs? Because there's still those rumors that he's done.
You can't bring Stephon. That's a combustible.
That's a cheat code. That's a cheat code.
Absolutely. All right. So there you go. That's our conversation. Good God, almost 2 hours. I thought we were going to do 90 minutes.
It was the big game, baby.
It was a big game. That's a lot of things to talk about. Thank you all so much. And to everybody who's joined us through the whole season, talking about these games week in and week out. We've loved seeing you in the chat. Thanks for being awesome, dedicated fans of the show. I know we jump around in time sometimes, and you guys follow us to those times live. We appreciate it madly. To those of you who don't watch live but watch later consistently, thank you so much for watching. Winston and I don't know what we do from here. Last time we just kind of went dark till the NFL season. We'll see what we figure out going forward, because watching the NBA, that's a lot of games, and
that's a lot of games. MLB is a lot of games. March maybe we do like a March Madness. I wouldn't hate that, because that's a little more controlled, and that feels almost like an NFL season type situation for the month of March. So maybe that, if I don't know if people would be interested in that. I guess that's my question. If y'all would be down for like a March Madness,
we'd have to figure that out for sure.
Yeah.
But there you go. But Winston A, dude, it's been awesome, dude. I always love talking with you. Always have a blast with you, brother, man. You know, you keep me in check, and you give me things to think about. Which
you do the same for me too. You do the same for me too, because I boy can talk. And he talks loud.
I don't mind it. I love it. Again, another fun season, bro. Thanks for taking the chance to be a part of this again, and please let people know where they can find you and everything that's going on here as we end the show.
Absolutely. You can find me at the Swaggy Blurred. Come across all those platforms, man. Definitely come and say what's up and help me out. I would appreciate the support and love. You can also see me over at Capes and Cows with Christian every Friday. I won't actually be there this Friday. I've got a project I'm working on. So I will not be able to join the podcast this week, but I'll be back next week. And that is pretty much it right now. Same thing. A massive thank you to everybody that watched consistently. Hell, even the asshole you had to ban. I mean, thanks for coming in. Like, the funny thing is, I agree. I'm not trying to sit here and listen to your stupid ass comments all day, but you spent the time to watch our show. So you know, at the same time, hi hater. I don't know, whatever. You could have been anywhere else in the world, and you were here with us. So whose fault is that?
That's true.
Anyway, Rocha, it's been a pleasure this season, man, and I'm looking forward to what our next step is, bro.
Yeah, respect. And who knew that a Commanders fan and a Cowboys fan could find a way to get along?
I just pretend like I don't know that information.
Well, we haven't been good, so I haven't had shit to say.
Thank God. Now you have Dan Quinn. Good luck.
Yeah, great. Awesome. I'm excited. Although the Kingsbury hire is interesting, but we'll see who we get. Please check your DMs. I sent you one. All right. DMs. I don't see anything in my DMs. So, all right. Let's get on out of here. You guys are the best. Thanks so much. And we'll talk to you next time with another brand new episode down the road here of Game Time. Peace. Take care of yourselves.